So far, we've looked at consumption spending. And for consumption spending, we found that consumption, just change colors here. We found that consumption was, our formula for consumption was 5 plus 0.6y. And then we found our formula for savings was negative 65 plus 0.2y. So we said we pulled $65 out of our savings and we pay $5 for goods and services from that we pulled out of savings. And we also found that our marginal propensity to consume was 0.6 and our marginal propensity to save was 0.2. So for every dollar of income, we spent 60 cents, we saved 20 cents, and since the only other thing you can do with your income is pay taxes, the marginal tax rate is 1 minus 0.6 minus 0.2. Marginal tax rate must be 20%. So the marginal propensity to consume plus the marginal propensity to save plus the marginal tax rate is equal to $1. Because when it comes to our income, we can spend it, save it, pay taxes. But we can also look at what is called disposable income. Disposable income is your income minus your net taxes. So we subtract the taxes and we look at the income that we have control over, that we can choose what we do with. And when it comes to disposable income, you have two choices. You can spend it and you can save it. So we can actually find a new formula for the consumption function and a new formula for the savings function that instead of being dependent on income, are instead dependent on disposable income. We'll call that Y sub D. So we can look at what are we doing with our income after net taxes. So let's take a look at that. So here we have our national income, and then we have the column from our data set with our net taxes. So we can take our national income, subtract our net taxes, and we get our disposable income. Remember, disposable income is income minus net taxes. So notice when our income is 0, we still have to pay some taxes. So our disposable income is a negative 60. When our income is 100 and we're paying $80 in taxes, our disposable income is 20. And notice that as our income increases, so does our disposable income. Well, we can actually determine a formula for savings and a formula for consumption that depend on disposable income as opposed to national income. So to do that, we need to look at how the savings and consumption changes relative to a change in disposable income. So to do this, we could actually plot our disposable income on the horizontal and our consumption and savings on the vertical. So let's take a moment and let's do that. Okay, so notice we're not starting at 0 here. We're now starting at a negative 60. Okay, so you can see here disposable income here. Disposable income is a negative 60. Consumption is 5. And then when our disposable income is 20, then consumption is going to be at 65. And when disposable income is at 100, then the consumption is going to be at 125. And we can keep plotting the points all the way until the point where disposable income is 580 and our consumption spending is 485. So we get our consumption function, connect the dots. To find the formula for consumption spending then, we need to figure out where we cross the vertical axes. So if we look here, that's approximately 50. So So I'll just put a squiggle line in front of it here since it's just approximately 50. What we really care about, though, is the slope of this line. We want to know how is consumption spending changing as we change disposable income. So we want to find the slope. And remember, the slope is rise over run. So we want to take our 485, that's here, and subtract where we started. And we can start here at 5. So you'll notice the consumption spending went from 5 to 485, which is a change of 480. Now, disposable income went from a negative 60 to a 580. So we do 580 minus a negative 60. And when you subtract a negative, that becomes a positive. So 580 plus 60 is 640. So we have 480 divided by 640. And we put that into a calculator, we find that is equal to 0.75. So, oh, my apologies, we're putting this here in the wrong form. This needs to go in consumption. So, consumption is approximately 50. Let's try this again. Consumption is approximately 50, and the slope of the consumption function is 0.75. So our formula for consumption is approximately 50 plus 0.75 times disposable income, which means that we could take disposable income, like a disposable income of 260, plug it in where Y sub D is, and we should end up with consumption of 245. In fact, if we do that, we can find out exactly where that intercept is, how close it really is to 50. Now, we can do the same thing with the savings function, right? We can figure out exactly where it crosses that vertical axis. Okay? But we should know what the autonomous savings is if it's a function of disposable income. Because when it comes to your disposable income, there's only two things you can do with disposable income, your income after taxes. You can spend it and you can save it. So when we have zero disposable income, we're spending 50 bucks, where did we get this 50 bucks? Well, we got this 50 bucks by pulling it out of savings. So whatever you have here for your autonomous consumption, you got to have a negative version for your autonomous savings because of your disposable income. You can only spend or save. And if you're spending money when you have no income, you're pulling it out of savings. Well, now what happens to savings as our income increases? Notice that as our disposable income increases, our savings increases as well. The question is how much? So we need to find the slope. And the slope looks at how we get from one point to the other point. So notice savings went from negative 65 to 95. So 95 minus a negative 65. And again, if you subtract a negative, you're adding. So this is 95 plus 65. And 95 plus 65 gives us 160. All right, on the bottom of our formula, this is going to be our change in disposable income, and disposable income goes from negative 60 to 580, so 580 minus a negative 60, and that's going to be that 640 we calculated before. So 160 divided by 640 is equal to 0.25. So the slope of our savings function, as we're looking at disposable income, is 0.25. So the marginal propensity to consume of disposable income is 0.75. For every dollar of disposable income, we're going to spend 0.75. And the marginal propensity to save of disposable income is 0.25. For every dollar of disposable income, we're going to save 25 cents. Since there's only two things you can do with disposable income, spend it or save it, your MPC sub D and your MPS sub D must equal 1. So if you have $1 of income after taxes, you're going to save it, you're going to spend it. And we can figure out how much you're going to save and how much you're going to spend.